Hello and welcome to another edition of the Edlow podcast. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Hello, Sister Evers, almost.
Hi,
How are
how are
you?
we doing? I'm good. How are
This is
you?
I'm doing great. You're actually the third Evers I've had on this podcast. I've had both your dad and your mom on here, and now
Oh,
you're on here.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
quite entangled in the Evers family, and so
Right?
um, yeah. So your podcast debut, congratulations!
Here I am, world.
Awesome. So, Rachel, I've known you since I've known you I feel like I've known you your whole life, but I've definitely gotten to know you over the last few years. And one of
Yeah.
the things I found interesting about you in particular is that, ever since I've known you, you have been very clear that you wanna serve a mission for the church, and, um, you're now doing it. You're gonna go. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, how excited are you about it? Or are you nervous about it? Or maybe some of both?
Well, I think throughout my life, my perception on, serving a mission has definitely changed, and now I'm almost at a point in my life where I'm, so eager to go on it just for it to be over just so I can, start my life, which is such a bad thing to, think about, so I've tried to, alter it after, realizing that, but,
Mhm.
I've always wanted to serve a mission because well, that's not true. Ever since I gained a testimony that was, mature, I've wanted to serve a mission.
Oh,
When
when do
I
you
was,
yeah, tell me, when was that?
Yeah, so when I was a little girl, actually, growing up in the church, in primary, you'd sing the song, "I hope they call me on a mission." Every single time they play that song, I'm like, "I don't wanna go on a mission, that seems hard, and I'm a girl, so I don't have to." So, I, growing up as a kid, I was like, "I'm not gonna serve a mission. That sounds" like I said, "that sounds hard."
Mhm,
But when I was nearing the end of, middle school, I was, 12, 13, um, I started carpooling with my now bishop, shout out Matt Christopherson, and, he challenged me to read the Book of Mormon. Now, I've always knew that the church is true, I've never gone through, a serious faith crisis or anything, which I know a lot of kids and a lot of people have. I kinda just, like I kinda just was always confident in it. I don't know, I feel like nothing else makes sense as
mhm,
much as the
mhm,
church does.
interesting.
But when I read it for the first time and I then the next year started going to seminary and, actually, diving deep into the scriptures, into the stories, that's, when my testimony really blossomed, and I was like, "Why wouldn't I wanna serve a mission?" This is so good and so uplifting, I want everyone to know about Jesus Christ.
Wow, that's interesting. So, that if everybody's faith journey is different, but,
Mhm.
at that age, I think that might be a little more rare to have that burning testimony come from reading the Book of Mormon. Was it specifically Matt Christopherson, or was it a kind of an amalgam of a bunch of different people that encouraged you to do that?
Well, it was him that, challenged me, obviously, you're always told, "Read the Book of Mormon every day," and then I also think with serving a mission specifically, my mom
Mhm.
was a super big influence on me wanting to serve a mission, 'cause she went on a mission before it was cool
She
for
did.
sisters to
I
serve.
kn
So
I know, she did. We were all I regret this, and I've apologized to your mom about this, but I was one of the ones who was like, "You don't wanna do that." It's like, "You don't wanna do that." It was a different situation though back then, like, with your mom when your mom went, you're right, like, a lot of girls did not go, and,
Mhm,
most of them did, and I feel like that's
mhm.
switched now where most of them do, and I don't know if that is maybe the age change, maybe it's more encouraged now than it was back then, but the I've also seen over the course of time your mom was clearly a good missionary. She went out for the right
Right.
reasons. She was
She got,
excellent. She was
26 baptisms or something.
yeah, and in those areas, that's huge. Like, I went to Indiana
Mhm.
and she went to Tennessee, and in that area, it's hard to baptize. So, to baptizing 26 people in that area if you're someone who went to, like, Africa, that sounds like a weekly event, but for coming to the States, particularly in the Midwest like that, or the South, that's a big deal. But there were some of them at that time that maybe they didn't, go out for the right reasons, and I have seen the sister missionaries. I mean, I used to say when I was a zone leader, the good sister missionaries out-baptize the good elders 2 to 1. I mean, they're so good. There just weren't a lot of them back then, but now
Mhm.
they're it's like I've been in ward missions and they're just A plus. I mean,
Right.
hard to find one that's not good. I mean, they're all doing really well. So I'm excited for you to do that. What was it Let me ask you, your mom, was there anything that you can think of specifically that your mom did that maybe encouraged you to go on a mission?
She never was someone who, like, told me to do stuff. I think she was really good at leading by example.
Mm,
I don't know if that's, like obviously, she told me to do stuff, but, like, she wasn't like, "You should serve a mission," you know what I mean? She always left things she never forced me to go to church either.
mm,
If I, like, really didn't wanna go that day, she'd be like, "Are you sure? Okay, fine. If you don't wanna go, you don't have to go." And I think that really made it so that my testimony and me going to church was always a choice.
mm,
And so I think good like, going to seminary again, that was my choice. I woke up every day and went.
mm.
It wasn't like she was the one driving me. Like, I
Well,
carpooled and I drove myself. You
I
know what I
envy
mean?
your mother then, because I got lots of fights over here on so I have to get it's not that they don't like seminary, it's that they don't like the morning. But anyway,
Right.
that's all. It's getting them up
I
is
don't either.
yeah, yeah, but it's interesting, like, you I've just by virtue of my kids being the same age as you guys and
Mhm.
knowing a lot of the kids, there's, like, kind of a group of kids that everybody knows just by virtue of all of the parents know each other from when
Yeah.
they were kids. You were always one of the ones that just was always kinda doing the right thing, and I'm curious. Well, I mean, but really, like, just things like you're saying, like, you never really had a big faith crisis, you were up and going to seminary, and this is what we observed, like, I observed just knowing you, like, you were always going to the church stuff, and there wasn't really a big
Mhm.
fight about it, and even when you had some influences maybe that weren't so supportive of that, you still did it, which
Mhm.
I think is pretty, says a lot about you and your character, and I'm just curious, like, I'm sure you have friends that was not the same experience for them. What do you think was different about your experience to maybe someone else who struggled with it?
I'm trying to think, cause obviously, growing up, I had friends that, struggled with the church,
Mhm,
but I tended to surround myself with mostly a lot of my friends in high school weren't my high school friend group weren't people from church, they were just other good Christian friends that I had. And
mm,
I think it all of my friends, my closest friends, we all share the same morals, whether they be agnostic or Christian or whatever. And so, I think I've I've had people that don't really have a lot of faith or have different morals than me, and they always weed themselves out of my life. Like, I'm a really loyal person, and so,
mm,
if you're my person, I'm ride or die, you know what I mean? But I have noticed that throughout my life, the people that aren't meant to be in it will eventually leave. And
mm,
s one way or another, our paths will split, and they won't be a part of my life anymore. I don't know I don't know, I think that's just what I've noticed, but I've always loved people,
mm.
whether or
Yeah.
not they're different, you know?
I have to just tell you, it is crazy how much you remind me of your mom. It's really
Really?
it's really wild. Just because I knew your mom when she was your age. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And the things that you're saying, your mom was very much similar. Like, I
Yeah,
mean,
I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah, I mean, you should, right? I mean, she's a good loyal friend. I can tell you personally as someone who, I don't know how much she told you about me when I was growing up, but, I was misunderstood a lot. A lot of people thought I was a little more loud, I was a little more obnoxious, kind of joking around a lot, and leaders didn't necessarily like that, and
Mhm,
some of the youth were kinda like, I don't know if I wanna hang out with that guy. Little dangerous,
mhm,
whatever. Your mom was right there, you know what I mean? Like, your mom just was, like, such a
mhm.
close, loyal friend the whole time, coming to backyard wrestling matches, watching me get my head busted open with garbage cans and all sorts of different things. She was one of the real ones, you know what I mean? And that
Mhm,
I told a different person recently, I was like when we were talking about just friendship in general and what we value in friendship, and I said, I value friends who defend me when I'm not in the room, and,
mhm,
and she's definitely one of those, because 'cause I'm one of those. Like, if someone's
mhm.
bagging on a friend of mine, I call them out,
Right.
and,
Yeah.
or I correct the record for them, you
Mhm,
know what I mean? And so, but anyhow, a question I wanted to ask you, I can tell you as a parent of your generation, uh, it can be very hard to parent you guys. And not because you guys are hard kids, but because the issues that you're dealing with are so different than ours. Like, we're the last generation without cell phones, social media, like, um, we were never thinking about some of the issues that you guys have to face, and some of the outside influences when it comes to church. So there was a lot of parents of your generation who listen to my podcast in various different stages of life, whether they're single parents, married, whatever.
mhm.
If a parent came to you and said, "Hey, Rachel, like, what would you say if I have a kid your age and they're trying to figure it out? What's what's some advice you'd have for parents to kind of lead your generation?"
I think that they should bear their testimony more in natural ways.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Like, if because like I was saying earlier, like, if you tell a kid, especially, like, a teenager, like, "Hey, you gotta do this," they're not gonna wanna do it, you know? But if that's what my mom always did,
Mm,
in car rides on the way to school, she would have us do some, like, "Come follow me," or she'd just tell us stories about her mission or different things, and it never felt, like, forced, it never felt weird, and so I think showing instead of telling is a good way because if if you I don't know, for me personally, if I look at the life of 2 different people, which one do I would I rather have, right?
mm,
Make your life seem, like, better, like, explain, like, how Jesus Christ has helped you in your life and, like,
mm,
why you come to him, and be real with your kids.
mm,
I don't know. That's something I really appreciate is, um, vulnerability and honesty and mutual respect between people
mm.
because they're gonna be an adult one day, you know?
Yeah.
And however much you want to boss them around forever, you're not gonna be able to. Um, so yeah, I think just leading by example and praying for them and getting them to the temple
Mm,
also,
mm.
um, that's what I would say.
That's great advice. It's interesting in your like, your area of life. I can tell you as a parent, for me at least, your parents might have it dead on, I don't know, but I was just talking to Piper actually about this because she's a senior in high school, it's going into her last year, we're trying to figure out what she wants to do for college, and I'm throwing out ideas, and she don't wanna hear any of them. And so, we were talking, she's actually working for me currently just part-time at my
That's
office, and
cool.
so she was sitting in my office, and we were going over some things, and I said, "You're in this weird spot because she's gonna be 18 in a few months, and she'll be graduating this year," and I had the same issue with Austin. I'm like, where, like, where is the line between parent and executing, my parental, authority, and
Yeah.
where is the line for independence? And so it's really hard for parents to, when you're in your spot, to figure out the best way to kind of move. I told Austin, I go, I feel like I've gone from you're a supporting character in my story to now I'm a supporting character in your story. And so now I'm just here kind of helping you along. And then maybe we review the game film when you mess up and go, all
Yeah.
right, here's how you screwed that up. Let's do this. You should have listened to me in the first place, or you got that one right. I guess I was wrong.
Mhm.
And that's a hard line. How have you actually went away to school, so that maybe made it a little bit
Yeah,
easier.
yeah.
That's scary for you?
Moving away from home after
Yeah,
living in the same house my entire life?
yeah.
A little bit, but I I just finished my freshman year at BYU, Idaho, and it was a great experience. In the fall, I was crippled for the entire month of October, which sucked and totally had a hit on my social life, but this spring semester was so great,
Nice.
and I think that I recommend this to any, like, future if someone wants to serve a mission, is to go to college first. Just
Mm,
do at least a semester because I learned how to live with people, like, buy my own groceries, feed myself, like, you're not you get to decide whether or not you wanna go to church today if your parents aren't like mine and never like if your parents are like, "Okay, get in the car, we're going to church," or
yeah,
whatever, like it's up to you, and you get to see, like, just so much more of who you really are because you're not surrounded by people who have been bossing you your whole life or, like,
mhm,
influencing you in
mhm,
what in your life. There's at least at BYU Idaho, there's so many great influences with the professors and, everyone on campus wants to see you succeed, but at the same time, I had some crappy roommates,
mm,
and they did not
mm,
love me very much, you know? So, I think get outside of your little circle.
mm,
Being independent is like, you just gotta I don't know, you just gotta do it. For the
mhm,
parents for the parents who are sending their kids off on a mission or to school, I feel like you kinda just gotta let them
yeah,
fly, you know what I mean?
yeah,
I obviously, feed them with your wisdom on the drive up or whatever,
mhm,
and but once they're away, like, it's hands off, you know?
yeah,
And like you said, if they fail and mess up, they're gonna come to you, you know? It just makes sure, that they know that you're a safe person that they can come to.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting too. I feel like me personally, I feel like I'm kind of ready for that. I feel like with Austin, we get to talk to him every single week, uh, when he's out in Peru, and
Mhm.
so getting to talk to him every week and stuff, it's kind of fun to see how maybe some of the lessons I learned that I didn't, or that he learned from me that he didn't necessarily seem like was taking at the time,
Mm.
um, watching them take, and then some of them, him missing some of the ones that I maybe, like watching hit.
Yeah.
As a parent, I can tell you because one day you're going to be a parent, and I think this is my favorite part of being a parent is like my kids are now old enough to where I'm like, okay, I've taught you what you need to know, right? And so it's like now it's your turn to apply it and take on the world and see what it comes. Go have your own adventure now. It's time for you to go
Right.
have your own adventure and find out what you're made of. Harder, tell you though, harder as a father for a son versus a daughter. Like that's
Really?
yeah, yeah. 'Cause, I think for one reason is I can relate to my son. I can
Mhm.
relate to Austin. I can relate to Lincoln. I went through what they went through. I
Mhm.
did not go through being a teenage girl and
Uh-huh.
having to deal with you know, I know how crazy the, males are. I know, like, what you gotta deal with. I know how they think. I know how they're, and that's gotta be hard for girls, dealing with
Yeah.
the way the boys are, right? And so, relating to their hurt and their experience and them processing emotions differently than I did and trying to understand that and trying to communicate that to somebody who maybe doesn't communicate the same way as me, that's hard. And
Mhm.
also being able to tell them like, "Okay, well, different when you grow up as a boy being taught that you are going to be a provider and you're definitely gonna go on a mission and you're definitely gonna, be working outside of the home and you're definitely gonna be doing these things. It's kind of the path is a little clearer. Whereas my
Mhm.
daughters where it's like, well, I don't know if my husband's gonna make enough money to where I can stay home. I don't know if I even wanna stay home. I don't know if I don't know if I wanna serve a mission. I don't know there's so many more, like, options, I feel like, and not necessarily even options,
Yeah, yeah.
so many more what ifs for them that maybe I didn't have and my boys don't necessarily view either. So there's a lot of similarities, but there's a lot of differences, and then also just there's a protective element, I feel, for most men over the women in their lives, and
Mhm.
so when you sit there and you see that, like, I it's a different view when my 6'3", you know, blonde hair, blue-eyed white boy is walking down the street downtown at 10 p.m. versus my 5'8" blonde hair, blue-eyed, cute daughter walking
Mhm.
down that same street with homeless people everywhere. Like,
Mhm.
different worry, you know what I mean?
And doesn't
And
that suck? Doesn't that suck? That's one thing I will say. It's it's stupid. It's so stupid.
but the thing is it's stupid but, like, it's hard because, like, my daughters would say the same thing, and like, I understand that, but that's not changing tomorrow. Maybe it
No,
changes in your lifetime, right? But it's not changing in the next 5 years,
no.
and that is something that I have to worry about as a parent is that, like, is my daughter safe when she goes
Uh-huh.
to if she goes to a party, is she safe? Right? And, it's just a different worry, and like I said, I think a lot of it is our upbringing and our being, quote, unquote, "head of household" and our being, taught the priesthood holder thing and,
Yeah.
being a protector and a provider. It's kind of ingrained in you to worry about those things, but it is a different worry, and, uh but at the same time, I'm also excited to see because sometimes I'm like, my daughters are better equipped to destroy this world than my than my boys, like
Mhm.
my daughter Piper, I was like, I'm just staying on her good side, dude, when she takes over the world, I'm not on the kill list. So, yeah, but anyhow, so okay, so tell me, you over the last 6 months to a year, the process of getting ready for a mission while you're out at BYU, Idaho. How was that stressful for you? Did you learn a lot? Did you grow? Tell me how that went.
I think being at the school I was specifically at,
Mhm.
while preparing for a mission was so great because of how school-centered it is,
Mm.
you know?
Mhm.
Like, you pray before every class, you have a religion class every other day, and, like, everyone shares the same core beliefs, whether
Mhm.
they be super active or doubting, like, everyone has, like, the same background knowledge for the most
Mhm.
part,
Mhm.
and being surrounded in that kind of environment is not one that I've ever been in before, really,
Mm. Mm.
Northern
Mhm.
California, there's a pretty good, like, LDS population, but
Mhm.
it's nothing like Rexburg, Idaho, you know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm.
So, um, being constantly surrounded by it, um, for, like, those few months at a time was really, really great. I was able to this semester go to the temple every week,
Mhm.
um, 'cause it's a 26-minute walk uphill all the way, but it's a 26-minute walk,
You'll be able to tell your
and
grandchildren that 26 miles upstairs uphill both ways, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
seriously. Anyone who's been to BYU Idaho or Rex knows that whole campus is on a fat hill. So, that was nice, when I was on an e-scooter.
Mm,
Well, that sucked. Anyway,
yeah.
yeah, no, being up at school, being able to choose, what I'm doing on a Sunday, um, and how I'm engaging with the gospel, getting to pick my religion classes. My first semester, I took Prep for Eternal Marriage, which is actually a really, really great class. I took it with, I think it was Brother Clayton,
Mm,
and one thing that really stood out to me in that class, obviously it's about marriage, it's not about mission. I took
mhm.
mission prep this last semester, um, but something I really, really liked and I think about a lot, it's unrelated kind of, but he said that any 2 people can make a relationship work if they constantly can continually choose God and choose each other,
Mm,
and I believe that with my whole heart.
mm,
I don't think I think that those 2 things are key to making any relationship work, especially
yeah,
a romantic one. And
yeah.
so, any of y'all single people, keep that in mind.
There you
Like,
go.
find someone who will keep choosing you and find someone who keep choosing God, you
Yeah.
know?
I
Um
I would add to that as someone who's been in various stages of relationship status. I
Mhm,
would, I've learned a lot, and one thing that we used to hear something very similar, but it was a little different. I agree with what you heard. What they used to tell us was any 2 righteous members of the church could make a marriage work. And the thing that I would add to that is, um, you realistically, you don't know what's gonna happen 20 years down the road. People
that's
change,
true,
right?
right?
So, you're kinda playing guesswork,
Mhm,
when you're doing these things. It's almost like a lottery system at times. But especially at your age, when you're meeting somebody, there's 2 big things. There's spiritual attraction and there's physical attraction, and then you're betting on potential at that point,
mm,
right?
mhm,
Um, and, so I would also add to that, though, that I think I agree that any 2 could make a marriage work, but you do you wanna just make it work or do you want it to be fulfilling, right? And
mhm,
so I think the one thing that I would add to that is when you're dating somebody, pay attention to the way that they show up in their other relationships and how they communicate with you.
I like that, I like that.
Yeah, reason being is because, if they're gonna treat you the way they treat their mom, you know?
Mhm,
They're gonna treat
mhm,
you the way that they treat their sisters. Um, they're if you think if you think that the way they treat other people, "Oh, they would never treat me like that," that's I would say that's faulty thinking. And the other thing I would say is there's a finite amount of time that you're objective in a relationship, and at some point, you fall in love and you're no longer objective. Pay attention
yeah,
to the people who love you and pay attention to the red flags,
mhm.
because those red flags, those things that you think maybe will be better, later on down the road, they won't.
No,
You know?
don't hold on to the possibility of someone changing,
Yeah,
you
no,
know?
and but the thing is again, like, if you find somebody who gives you, that you are fulfilled with, that you can communicate with, when things get hard, you can talk about them, you can introduce positive tension without toxicity, like,
Mhm.
you're 80% of the way there, I
I know,
mean,
hold on to that person, you know?
totally, 100%, because there's a lot of people out there who, they unfortunately, we've seen that people change and without that communication skill to be able to be honest with each other and being able to tell them how you're really feeling without it becoming a manipulative thing or an abusive thing or a difficult thing. It can create real problems that are long lasting even after the relationship is over. So, you
That's
know,
true.
but I think that you're on the right track. I mean, I the other thing I would say is a lot of the time I think that people should pay attention. No, I'm just preaching to you, sorry. I think that, focus more on being the right person as opposed to finding the right person because you
That
wanna
was
be
another
there.
thing my professor said.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mm.
I've had an opportunity to speak with a lot of people, older people who are single, and they often look and they are often telling, well, the other person X, Y, and Z, I need a person this, and I'm like, "Are you that person?" You know?
I have friends like that, and I love them so much, but I'm like, "Honey, if you are wanting all of these qualities in someone, you gotta have them too."
Right,
Like
exactly. Yeah.
you have to become your dream person's dream person in a way.
That's
If you're not already, like, if you look at yourself and that's why people say, like, you have to love yourself first, I feel
Mhm,
like,
mhm.
um, before you can love others,
Yeah,
because if you don't like who you see, other people aren't gonna like it either, which is sucks, but,
yeah,
like, it's so true.
yeah. I think that's true, and I think you need to, you know, I think a lot of the stuff that becomes toxic is comes from insecurities, it comes from
Yeah.
insecurities of a person, and, finding your sense of self is super important. Speaking of which, let's talk about that, so I know just from knowing you that you had a boyfriend who's now he's on a mission, right? He's out?
Yeah, he's out. We're
Okay,
s
yeah,
w we're
yeah,
going strong with
still going strong, okay. So
yeah, with
that
the
was something I
distance.
wanted to ask you because I'm sure that's happened to other people. So he left, and then I mean, you guys have been together for a couple years, right?
Yeah, we're coming up on 2 years in September.
Okay. So,
Mhm.
um, he leaves, and then you're at school by yourself. That probably had to
Mhm.
be even, that also had to be a bit of a difficulty for you for what, it's 4 or 5 months?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, so by the time I'll have left on my mission, it'll be 6 months since he
Mm,
left.
mm.
We planned it really good, we're coming back the same month.
Oh, there you go.
But, yeah, so, um he went on his mission. There was, like, 2 or 3 weeks, and then I was off at Rexburg again. In the fall, he moved up to the mountains above Boise to live with his family so that he could come visit me, and he worked with them and, like, did stuff. Um, and so he visited me, like, every other weekend. And
Mm,
so this spring semester, which isn't a normal spring semester, it's April to July, because there's
mm,
a whole 'nother winter semester. BYU Idaho is weird because it has 3 semesters.
interesting.
But yeah, so I get there in April, and obviously, like, when you spend time with someone in a certain place, like, there's gonna be a lot of memories, like, with them that you think about.
Mhm,
And so
mhm.
that was kind of hard because, like, I'd go a certain place and I'd be like, "Oh, I was here with him," you know? "Oh,
Yeah.
I miss him so much. I love him so much." Um, but I made such great friends this semester, and I was able to do, like, so many new things, and, since it was summertime, we went swimming a ton, which was super awesome. Um, but yeah, I it was hard not having him there, but it wasn't impossible. Obviously, I did it, and I think it was something that was really cool that I noticed was that, um, I no longer this was just, like, one small thing that I noticed, being more independent, not being specifically tied to him all the time. Love him so much, I love being tied to him, but, like,
Mhm,
um, when I was picking out my outfit during the day, he wasn't on my mind, you know what I mean?
mhm,
Because
mhm.
sometimes I would pick out an outfit and I would be like, "Oh, I wonder if you think I look cute in this," you know what I mean? But since he wasn't here, I just wore whatever I want, and I really appreciated that because
That's
that wasn't something that I had done in a while.
See, that's what's funny about that is you say, "Do you know what I mean?" I don't know what you mean because guys don't I don't think like that. I just be like, "I'm putting on this t-shirt. I don't know, it feels
Mhm.
fine." You know what I mean? And so that's what I'm saying. The
Yeah.
boys and the girls, they just think about it differently. We're like t-shirts and jeans, we're fine. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but, so but I think also the cool thing about that is I think when you're apart, you really have some time to, like, process, do I really is this really the right person? And if you're away from that person and still feeling like, yeah, no, that is my person, even when they're not around,
Mhm.
that's a really good sign, you
Yeah,
know?
and I mean, I was surrounded like, I made guy friends up at school, like, I wasn't there was, like, at least 2 guys
Mm,
that, like, asked me out, but I was
mhm.
like, "I'm taking this is my promise ring."
Oh, okay, you're like, "I'm
Like
taking
I
it."
said, I'm a very loyal person,
Yeah,
um, but, I, like, obviously saw, like, different people
yeah,
and got close with other guys, you know?
yeah,
And I think that being able to meet new people and seeing them really solidified that I picked a good one.
yeah,
Not in like a like they're bad people, but I'm just like, I picked a good one. Hearing from my friends' experiences, some of my roommates have had like horror stories. A lot of my
mhm,
friends have had major horror stories of the guys up at school.
yeah.
Um, and so I am just so grateful that I don't have to deal with that.
Yeah, yeah. If you got one that you jive with, especially if you've had an opportunity to be around others, like, you're right,
Mhm.
there's a bunch of guys out there that are really good, and
Right,
maybe
there's great guys.
yeah, and maybe, if you went out with them, you would have a good relationship with them or whatever, but if you
Mhm.
found somebody who is really feels like they're your person, like, that's who you want. You don't want
Right.
you can have a mediocre marriage, that's fine, or you could have a great one, right? And if you've
Mhm.
had one that you really love and they're your person, then, who's to tell you that's not right, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that's pretty good. So, okay, so you're gonna what are you studying? Have you planned, like, what you're actually gonna wanna study when you come back?
Yeah, so when I signed up for BYU Idaho, I was like, I don't wanna go in not having a major because that's lame." And I didn't wanna waste any money.
Right,
So,
right.
I was like, I'll just pick marketing because I feel like it's business and it's, like, wide-ishly applicable.
Mhm,
So, I put marketing as my major. Get to
mm,
school, take Marketing 100, and so we learn about, like, SEO, email marketing, social media marketing, um, like, operational stuff,
mhm,
and then we learn about sales.
hmm,
Sales. Oh,
mm.
I like this. We learn it in the class, you learn about what they do, what kind of people would be a good fit for it, and how much money they make.
Salesmen make a
And
lot
so
of money. They make a
sales
lot.
makes a lot of money.
It
And so
does.
I was like, if I work really hard and I'm a marketing major, which which career which career would do I wanna work really hard in? One where I am, like, stuck on a phone and a computer editing videos all day, social
Mhm,
media marketing.
mhm.
One where I'm stuck sending emails. One
You
where
like
I'm
that
stuck
people.
coding and stuff, SEO. One
Mhm,
where I'm talking to people all day and building relationships, and where my effort and my work, shows up in my paycheck.
mhm.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
and so I found sales kind of by chance, and I joined the sales society in the fall, where I was able to make some great connections. And then, this spring semester, I took professional sales with Brother Crump. Brother Crump, he's a great professor. He knows so much. He's like a master
Mm,
salesperson. Like, he's really,
mm,
really good.
mm.
And in that class, I learned so much not only about relationships, but just how sales works, how to be good at it, and also some things that I think would serve me well in the mission.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
yeah, and I everything is just really pointing me towards sales. I don't know exactly what I want to go into, whether that be tech or like medical
Medical sales.
devices.
Mhm.
Yeah, but right now, that's really, like, what I'm looking into, but, like, B2B sales
Yeah.
or not, like, door to door, you
No.
know?
No, yeah. You know, you're right. You're gonna go out first of all, if you really wanna know sales, you're going on that mission will tell you what, you know you'll learn sales skills. It's just natural because, you don't wanna cheapen it, but you are selling religion. You're going in there and
Yeah.
you're knocking on their doors and you're offering them something, and you're trying to offer it in a way that they can receive it.
Mhm.
The best in my view, the best sell I sold cell phones for 4 years. I was a
This
manager of
is
a cell
right.
phone store. Yeah, so and being an attorney is kind of being a salesman too, in a different way. I used to joke and say, uh, all the meanest, like, best but hardcore salesmen all became lawyers. But anyway, I think the best salesman is the one that listens to the customer and gives them what they want, and not
Agree.
just sells them what is gonna benefit the salesman, but benefits
Mm.
them. Because
Mhm.
if you sell them what they need and you see what those needs are, they keep coming back, right?
Right.
Building
Right.
that relationships. I mean, by the end of my time as a salesman at the cell phone store, I mean, I didn't even have to take on new customers because there was constantly people coming in. Just,
Mhm.
"Hey, I'm here to upgrade my phone. I'm here to do this thing," whatever. And, so, yeah, I mean, you definitely have the outgoing nature for it. You could easily do it, and with doing the 18 months on the mission, you're gonna come back and you're gonna be a super salesman. You'll be able to do
That's the
whatever.
plan.
Yeah, absolutely. So now, you have actually had a much different experience than, like, I would say almost a bit of a non-traditional grown up in a little bit of a non-traditional home in that, your entire life, your mom has worked pretty much full time, your dad
Mhm.
worked full time. Whereas I still think that the majority of LDS households are single income families. Traditionally, the man is out working, the mom is staying home. Do you, as you were growing up, did you feel different in any way, or do you feel like that was a benefit or not as someone growing up like that?
I don't think I really realized that it was so different until I got older, and I realized that it like, what sort of a privilege it is to have a mom who doesn't have to work.
Mm,
Um, and that's not, like, how I was explained it ever, that's just kinda, like, how I see things is that, like, being a stay-at-home mom it's not easy, but it's also, you it's a privilege in a lot of ways where a lot of families, especially nowadays where, like, the cost of living is so high, it's a privilege that a lot of people can't afford, and so I think seeing that I have a hardworking mom, she's the hardest working person I know, um, that inspired me not to settle for for just for just motherhood. I hate saying it like that because I wanna be a mom and I appreciate mothers so much, and being able to be present in the lives of your kids is so great, and I wish that I had that sometimes growing up, you know what I mean? But, I have higher goals, I feel like, because I had a mom who had that drive and that aspiration, you know what I mean? Like, I never felt like, "Oh, well, I'm just gonna be a mom, so it's whatever." You know?
mhm,
There's
mm,
some people who go to school just to get married, and I think that is the lamest thing ever. I think getting an education is so cool and so rad. I think that becoming smarter and, having goals inside your home and in your career and in volunteering and your hobbies, I think that makes you a way cooler person.
mhm,
Um and I don't know, I think, yeah, growing up, I didn't realize that that was so different until, yeah, I got older.
mm,
Um, I don't know if my mom didn't work, how different I would be,
mm,
but I do think that every young woman who is growing up right now, that they shouldn't limit themselves and that, like, going out and, like, making yourself bigger in more capable and smarter and more intelligent is so awesome, and
Mhm,
I'm in support of that, whether that be through college, whether that be through just reading, whether that be through YouTube.
mhm,
I don't
mhm,
know. I don't
mhm.
know. Yeah. I definitely think it's made me different
Yeah.
in a way, 'cause
Yeah,
I have different life experience, but
yeah, I little bit of unsolicited advice, and I would give this to you simply because I've been talking to Austin so much about it, and I think it's very applicable. I think there is so much to be said about following spiritual momentum. So, the times in my life that I've had it hardest have been the times when I felt like I needed to go a certain way, but I didn't really want to go that way, so I just wouldn't, and then it just caused so much more pain, and I ended up right in the exact position that I was supposed to be in anyway, right? So, when you get to the point when you're, getting married, remember the proclamation to the world and the family, or whatever you call it,
yeah.
says that there are these traditional roles, but that each individual couple can adjust those roles as they see fit, right?
Mhm.
So when you and your future husband, whoever that may be, whether it be the guy you got now or someone else, whoever it might be, think it's very important for you guys to state what you think is important for you guys, to pray about it, and then follow what the promptings are. So for
Yeah.
example, you might
Yeah.
right now think, I want to go into sales and I want to do this thing. But then when it's time to have a kid, you might feel the spirit tell you, I need to stay home for a time. If that is the case, don't don't like don't limit yourself to, "Well, I wanna work, so I'm gonna do that," if the spiritual momentum is telling you
Yeah.
to go a different way, and same way the other way, like, if it's like everyone's telling you, "You really need to stay home, Rachel, you really need to stay home," but you're feeling like,
Mhm.
"No, I feel like I need to have this career," and also I would say that, so much when you become a parent, you have to ask yourself, what is the message that I'm sharing with my kids, right? So, like, the message that your mother clearly shared with you was that you can work hard and you can be a working mom and still have the spirit in your home and all of these things. I mean, obviously it's working because your mom, I know she works crazy hours as a hairstylist, and then also now, has maintained spirituality and is very much involved in your lives and is there
Mhm.
taking care of you and taking you on crazy trips and doing all those things. Like, you can see that you can have it all, right? But at the same time, if the spirit's telling you to go another way, follow that. You can always
I
course
like
correct.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that you brought that up, and that's so true, like, following the spirit, letting that guide your life, I think also your patriarchal blessing I really like that you brought that up. I'm sorry I didn't, like, say that
No,
earlier,
no, that's
but
perfect. That's fine.
I really like that you said that. I think
Mhm.
yeah. Also,
Yeah,
yeah, using the spirit to guide you on where you should go in your life,
yeah.
peak advice. God always knows what's gonna be best for you, and I think rereading your patriarchal blessing if you're at a crossroads, not just the words, but inviting the spirit to teach you through that because it is your own personal set of scripture.
Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
great way to put it. I think that's exactly a great way to put it. Your own personal set of scripture. That's true. You know that the following the spirit for me, has been a lifelong pursuit. I'm 45 years
Mhm.
old and I'm still trying to figure it out. You're not gonna get it right all the time. And, you're luckily, you're 18 years old, almost 19. Are you
Yeah, I'm
19?
young.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I turned 19 in the MPC.
Okay, great. So you're 18 years old. You've got lots of time to figure this out, and you're going to be continually like, I remember telling Austin, it's a hard day when you realize that your parents aren't perfect, and you know, w we're all trying to figure it out too. We're like the blind leading the blind, if we're being honest. We're trying to keep it together ourselves while trying to lead you along.
Mhm.
And, I think that you've got a good head on your shoulders, obviously, but understand that, in the end, God is truly in control, and what he wants to happen for you will happen. And, my life, um, looks about 1,000 times different than I ever thought I could have imagined when I was your age. This is not the life that I was expecting by, I don't think, any means. Like, I don't think there is an area of my life that is what I would have expected.
That's so
And
funny.
yet this is so much better than I could have ever imagined. I
That's
mean,
awesome.
so, I think that sometimes when we're younger, we get tied to, like, we have a vision of what we want our lives to be. And then
Mhm.
what happens is that something happens that messes with that vision, but we're so tied to that vision that we cut off that spiritual momentum. No, I'm not. It's like Jonah and the whale. I'm not going to Nineveh, and he's
Mhm.
got to get swallowed by a fish to get there, right? And so, you know, if you feel you're supposed to go for a certain way, you are young enough that you can follow that and then course correct if it ends up not being the right way. If it, you
Mhm.
could follow that momentum. We're all just, I mean, that analogy in Nephi about the iron rod and the mist of darkness, that really is so dead on to life. We are just feeling our way through, and what you're
Yeah.
holding on to as you're feeling through is what's gonna put you in the right place, whether you end up at the tree of life or you end up in that great and spacious building or just wallowing around in the midst of darkness.
Yeah.
And so you're obviously choosing the right so far. How have you, when you've had a very specific experience, eh, because you've had some, you've had both people encouraging you and discouraging you probably to go down this path. What do you think has been, as you've gone through some trials, what have you used to kinda hang on to your testimony?
I think that the knowledge that everything will work out in the end
Mm,
with God,
mhm,
everything will turn out okay, whether that be in this life or the next. Just the fact that God has already won, holding on to that and knowing that no matter what you're going through right now, it will turn up. It will turn up. You know what I mean? Like that is really what kept me going through hard times. And I think again, what you were saying about like encouragement versus like discouragements about like staying faithful and staying in the gospel, it's really the just been people's actions. Like no one's told me like straight up, you don't go to church or go to church, you know?
mhm,
But I look at the lives of these people who are really important to me, and one person is obviously they're both not perfect,
mhm,
no one's life is like I heard something before that was like, um, if you had to if you could get rid of all the trials in your life, but you had to trade it for someone else's, would you? And I don't think I would. You know
right,
what I mean? Everyone is going through crap. Everyone's
yeah,
going through hard stuff. And so but looking at the outcomes of these 2 different people, one who's staying in the church and one who has left it and is no longer faithful, I want the life of the person staying in the church. You know what I mean? And I so that's why I said earlier, it just makes sense to me. It just makes
yeah.
sense.
That's really astute. I'll tell you a story from my life, I'm sure you know that, I've dabbled in pro wrestling my whole life, and there was a time
Mhm,
in high school where that was the road, right? That was the road. I was very serious about it. There were people around me that thought that I had a real shot of being a pro wrestler, and, that was my dream. I mean, is I'm still passionate about it. Tonight, my my whole family's coming over to watch a wrestling thing today, as we're doing this. So, it's still a part of my life. I still wrestle, but I remember at that time, I wanted to do that, and I served the mission, and when I served on the mission, you're gonna have a lot of time, where you're really gonna be assessing what is the most important to you, core values, relationships you've had. You're gonna learn a lot about dealing with other people and all sorts of things. And I remember thinking to myself, "What kind of life do I want to have?" do pro wrestlers traveling at that time they were traveling 250 to 300 days a year. So it's like you're out, you're never home, and
Mhm.
they're injured all the time. And they're living in hotel rooms, they've got kids, they got family, at home. You don't know what your spouse was doing, you don't know what your kids are doing. At that time we didn't have social media or FaceTime, so it's
Yeah.
phone calls on the cell phone and that was it. And it's like, do I want that kind of life? Is that life conducive to the spirit that I want to hold? Am I ever gonna be able to go to church if I'm traveling every Sunday? Am I ever
Right.
gonna be able to do these things? And so I had a really hard decision to make, and I decided I did one wrestling show when I came home, and I remember thinking, "This is just not the life I want." And, when I was sit th none of the guys know this, but when I was sitting in the backstage area with them, I was looking around at all of them, and I said, "This is not who I am." And, it's not. It's not who I am.
Mhm.
And, I was able um, to course correct. And, so I think it's good for you to be making that same assessment, as you're going
Yeah.
through your life. And that's probably gonna change here and there as you go,
Mhm.
right? So tell me, as you go forward, what do you hope to learn from your mission? Like, if there what
Ooh.
like, is there something specific that you hope to learn? Turning my light back on, it went off. Supposed
Oh,
to
yeah, you're all good.
turning this on because, I gotta look as fancy as
Mhm.
possible. So,
Right,
yeah.
I've got a light too.
Good, good, yeah, yeah, yeah. Very professional here, very professional on the Edlow podcast. Anyway, so
Yeah,
what
of
do you hope
course.
to
Well, I really like what first of all, I just wanna say I really like what you've been saying about course correcting. It reminds me a lot about repentance, you
Mm,
know, and
yeah,
how you're always repenting, you're always course correcting, you know, and I think that's cool that you have done that throughout your life. I
yeah. No, I
um,
appreciate that, I appreciate that.
yeah, and but yeah, for as of what I wanna learn on my mission, now I feel like I'm just gonna say the things that I need to work on.
Hey, what do you
But
think that is?
I
Let's
think
do that. What's that self-reflection? What do you think you need to work on?
I need to work on well, things that I wanna learn on my mission that I know I will have practice with is patience with
Mhm.
others.
Very much so.
Um, I I'm someone who is just a fast walker, and I hate being late,
Mm,
and so if you have ever been on a walk with me, like, from going from point A to point B, not just, like, on a little stroll, like we're walking somewhere, if you're not my height or taller, I'm gonna be leagues ahead of you, and and so that that has been, like, something I struggle with, is just slowing down for other people instead of just expecting them to keep up, um, and I you can't force someone to l like, you can't force someone to do that, you know?
mhm,
The only, like, way you can really do that is by adjusting yourself,
mhm.
and, so I know that on the mission, literally walking, that will probably be something that'll
Yeah.
probably be something that I'll work on.
Mm,
And I think recognizing that is a good thing. Another thing that I wanna learn on my mission, not that I think I'm necessarily bad at, but is just how to teach the gospel specifically.
mhm,
I've taught in Young Women's, I've taught a couple Relief Society lessons, and I was a primary teacher for a little bit. So it's
mm.
not like I'm, like, new to teaching exactly, but knowing the right way that God wants us to, I'm really looking forward to learning that so that I can teach my kids one day.
Yeah. You will definitely be in my view, you'll definitely be um, a better parent by going on a mission, just by virtue of having to I think there's something to be said about being thrown in with somebody who you wouldn't necessarily choose and
Mhm,
having to be with that person for 24 hours a day for 6 weeks or 3 months.
Yeah.
and having to learn to adjust. One of the things that I think is really important in relationships, whether it be a spouse or whether it be a, a child or something, it is that there is a level of acceptance that when you have conflict, there's a give and take, and sometimes you do things for someone else that maybe makes you maybe it's not something you would choose to do, or maybe it's something makes you not uncomfortable, but something that you outside of your comfort zone that
Mhm.
you will do just to show the other person that you love them. So, like,
Yeah.
the best example I have is I have a daughter who she is a theater kid through and through. She just loves theater, wants to go
Mhm.
to every musical possible, and I I don't mind them, but it's certainly not like on a Friday night, I'm just like, "Let's go to the musical," right?
Right, you're like a hard rock kinda guy,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
I'm like, "Let's go to a fight. Let's go to a rock concert." So, it's not, "Let's go to Hairspray," right? And so, but, uh but she loves them, so I will
Mhm,
go, right? And will I'll be in it, I'll have a good time, I'll find joy in it, and that's the way I do it. And,
mhm.
so much of relationships are like that. It's a
Right.
situation of meeting another person on their level and showing them that you care. And a lot of people don't get that, and I think on a mission you will. Think you
Mhm.
will. Yeah.
I like
Uh,
that.
yeah, I think it's good. So I was gonna man, I'm like, "Man," because there was something that popped up, but we were talking and then now it's gone. Maybe it'll come back.
Oh.
That's okay. So as you're, preparing now, what are you doing to prep?
Well, I was going to the temple every week, like I was up in Rexburg, but as of now, I I have been slacking, honestly.
That's okay. You are gonna be
Yeah,
so busy for a year and a half.
yeah.
Vegging out a little bit is okay. Yeah, I
I know, I've been, like, being a total chud back
that's
home.
that's okay. I was funny. I think I quit my job, like, a month before I left, and I think I gained, like, 15 pounds just eating sweet tarts, watching movies. Like, it did not look good. My last wrestling show was, like, 2 weeks before I left, and I did not look good in my tights, I'll tell you what. It was like, oof, it was bad. Yeah, that was a good time, but, yeah, I lost it walking out in the heat. Tell us where you're going. Where are you serving?
I'm serving in New Hampshire, Manchester, and I start home MTC September 2nd.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
That home MTC is gonna be so cool for your mom. Like, it's
Yeah?
gonna be so cool. Yeah, when Austin did it, he was here for a week. You're here for there for a week?
Yeah, I'm there for a week, and then I have 2 weeks at the Provo MTC.
Yeah. Man, it's funny, the MTC, I hated MTC. I had a good time. It was okay, but, like, by week 3, I was so ready to get out of there. I mean, like,
Have you
I
been
was
drinking the orange juice?
yeah, that was part of it. No, it just felt like I felt like I was in, like, I don't know, it just almost the first week or 2, it felt like, "Oh, cool." It's like I'm at EFY or FSY, whatever
Right.
you guys
Right.
but then after a couple weeks, I was like, "When am I gonna get out of here? I feel like I'm in prison," and I'm like and so, but I was only there 3 weeks, and some of those guys there had been there like 8, 9, 10 weeks because they were learning a
Mhm,
language, and I'm like, "I don't know how
mhm.
you guys are doing it," and
Right.
so but, having Austin here for a week was so cool to just watch him like, in that first week, I saw the mantle go on him, as being a missionary and watching
Mhm.
him learn, like, be excited to learn and
Yeah.
just be, see it just felt like I was like, I'm seeing him morph into Austin, the kid with long hair playing his guitar to Elder Edlow in a week,
Aw.
and it was just really cool to see, and then he and it's cool I used to make fun of the missionaries because they had to talk to their mommy every week, but I've actually loved being able to see him every week and talk with him through what is going on. I think you're gonna see that your parents, seeing that both of them served a mission, are going to
Yeah.
relate going to relate to a lot of what you're saying, especially, since they both went stateside, right? Both your parents did?
My no, my dad served in Cordoba, Argentina.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then
I
your
think
mom
that
was
that
in
mission has been split now, but
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what he
Okay.
did.
But, like, even so with Austin, he spent 3 months in Iowa and then moved out to he had visa issues because he slacked on that, and I didn't do it for him. So he ended up staying 3 months in Iowa and then getting out to Peru, and, I've been able to relate to him, both of them, but it was really more relatable when he's in Iowa because it was, like, really similar to mine. I think your mom will probably relate much more to you because she's sort of stateside and you are, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So you guys will
Mhm.
relate a lot on that. It'll be fun to hear. It's a fun conversation when you understand what a district leader and a zone leader is, and zone conferences and presidents meetings and all these different things that you're doing, and all the tools you're using, and, being able to even
Yeah.
spitball, like, this is what Austin and I'll have conversations where I'll be like, "This is what I did." I mean, it was 25 years ago. I don't know if it works
Mhm.
now, but here's something that I did, and maybe you that'll help, and, you know,
Mhm.
kinda spitball, like, what he's doing, and, even just, like, him reading scriptures and then asking questions like, "Hey, what do you ever read this? What did that mean to, like, I don't understand," or,
Uh-huh.
and just watching him develop, his logical and spiritual testimonies, like, just really fun to watch. So,
Yeah.
you're gonna have a good time. You're gonna have a really
I
good time.
know. I'm
Yeah.
really excited. I'm really excited. It's like I think it's funny because my mission is, like, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, and then, like, a tiny bit of Massachusetts,
Oh,
and
cool.
then my boyfriend, who's serving in Orem, it's, like 5 towns.
Yeah.
And it's, like
Yeah.
it's so funny. They're both stateside, though, but, like,
Yeah.
I just think
Yeah.
it's funny.
That is, and you know what though? Those Utah missions, they apparently are very successful, like, lots of
Mhm.
baptisms, they do really well. So,
Yeah.
I used to make fun of the people who went, to those things, but they always seem to have a lot of success just working with, like, part member families and stuff like that,
Mhm.
and so
Mhm.
that'll be that'll be really exciting. Well,
Yeah.
let me ask you, I'm gonna ask you 3 questions that I ask everybody on the podcast. They're very existential, okay? You ready?
Okay.
Alright.
I'm ready.
What would you think you would say is your biggest success in life?
My biggest success in life. Well, I'm only 18,
Uh-huh.
so what do other people say? Or am I not allowed to know? Do I just have to
Well,
answer one?
I don't think it matters what your answer is. I'm just curious about you. Like, if you what's the first thing that popped up when I said success?
My relationship,
Your relationship with
honestly.
your boyfriend?
Mhm.
Okay, why would you say that?
Just because obviously, I'm 18 and we've been together for, like, like, less than 2 years.
Sure.
Like, today, in August 3rd, will so in 2 days will be the 2-year mark of when I met him,
Mm,
but looking at the people around me, looking at my parents, um, and comparing my relationship to just the people that I've lived with and
mhm,
around, there has been so much good and such healthy communication and love and forgiveness and protection. He stepped up as the man of the house. You
mm,
know what I mean?
mhm,
And I don't know, I think that I feel lame saying it because it's not like I said, like, I feel like because I'm so young at the same time, I'm young, but people who have been together this long, if I were a few years older in the church, we'd probably be married.
mhm, yeah.
Um,
So, almost certainly, if you've been together 2 years, that's like you guys are basically grandma and grandpa at that point, of the single
I
board.
know.
Yeah, but no, you know what though? A couple things I wanna say about that. First of all, uh, just because you're 18 doesn't mean you don't know stuff, And just because you're only 18 doesn't mean that you haven't had successes, and
Mhm.
your successes certainly when you come back, that question's gonna be different, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe not. And quite frankly, it might be the same. It's interesting that you brought that up because often, very often, the majority of the time, when I say, "Tell me what your biggest success in life is," it is something to do with relationships, whether it be family, marriage, kids, whatever. So the
Mhm.
fact that you said that, you're in line with everybody else. So
Okay.
that's good. But don't be uh, insecure about the fact that you're only 18. Yes, you have a lot more growing to do and you're going to learn a lot, but that doesn't mean don't have experience. You have
This is true.
actually experience different than most of the people your age that are going to make you very empathetic out there when
Yeah.
you go out there. So there's that. So here's the next question. What is your
Okay.
biggest failure in life and what did you learn from it?
Oh, my biggest failure, I feel like all of the things that have gone super wrong in my life, I try and, like, block them out. So I have to,
Think about it.
like, think about it. My biggest failure, um, I feel like there have been people in my life that I didn't hmm, again, I keep going to relationships.
That's
I keep
okay.
going to relationships. I'm trying to think, what else?
While you're thinking, let me just tell you
Uh-huh.
something about
Yeah,
relationships.
tell me.
I've done a bunch of podcasts with people who have had near death experiences and or people who studied them. And um faith traditions or not, one of the overarching themes of a near-death experience is experiences with families and relationships, which tell you that things that we learn here in the church about relationships enduring is accurate. So there's something about us that is eternal. There is something about us that connects us to the people around us. So it makes a lot of sense that your failures and successes would be relationship based.
Yeah.
So with that, what was there you seemed like you were trying to word something the right way to not offend somebody or something, and so I wanna hear, like, what do you think is that failure?
Well, I don't know. I there have been friendships. There's one friendship I can think of in particular
Mhm.
where oh, okay. So I had this friend and I feel like I did not treat him the best
Mm,
and I wasn't empathetic enough
mm,
to him. I don't think that's the biggest failure in my life, but it's just actually, I think the biggest failure in my life has been not being the kindest big sister that I could be.
mm, that's interesting.
Mhm,
Yeah. Where do you
and
think
I don't
let me ask you a question, where do you think? Because I'm the oldest,
uh,
okay, and I can definitely admit that I was probably not the best big brother. My siblings are we're way separated, like, I've got a my nearest sibling's 5 years younger than me, so we just were always in different, like, areas of life, which made it
mhm,
hard to empathize with each other, I think. But then there
right.
was also just a lot of stuff going on at home that I was probably projecting my own frustration onto my siblings, right? So where do you think that not being the kindest big sister, where do you think that would have come from?
Me being young, I
Yeah.
don't know, I think me and my sisters are so Tessa is 2.5 years younger than me, and then Brinley is, like, 6 or, like,
Mhm.
5.5 years younger than me.
Yeah.
And I think that growing up, I was just bossy for no reason,
Mm,
and there was, I wouldn't let her use the closet because it was my space,
mm,
um, and so I think that it was just me being immature, you know?
yeah.
But those things, like, the way you treat people, like, they were don't forget that, and
Yeah,
so I wish that I would've been kinder and set a better, like, precedent so that we'd be we're not I'm close with my sisters, I'm close with my sisters, it's not like we hate each other or anything, but, like, I just wish that I was kinder when I was younger.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you too, I think that by the way, what you're saying about the territorialism, I've seen that in spades over here.
Uh,
So you're in good company there, but my experience has been that as you grow older, the relationships get stronger, and you're all that's another thing, I was mentioning girls versus boys, there's a time there where and boys are the same way, where you're going through all of these changes, hormones, all these different things.
mhm,
You're just not the same person that you are. When you get to be 18, 19, you level out a little bit, then you start,
yeah.
but yeah, it's an awkward age for girls, 12 to like 45. So
Okay.
yeah. So anyway, as last question I ask everybody, one day you're going to pass away. And when you do, there'll be a funeral and there'll be a eulogy. What would be the one thing you hope that somebody says about you in your eulogy?
Hmm, I almost, like, don't care. That's, like, something my mom would say. It's, like, something my mom would totally say.
Yeah.
But, um, I just I hope that people think I was kind
Yeah. That's perfect.
and, like, really, like, not, like, fake, but,
Mhm.
like, that I actually, like, meant something to them.
Yeah. Genuine. You were genuine.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, let me just tell you, as somebody who has been around generally and observing what goes on in your life just by nature of, like I said, knowing both of your parents for so long and you hanging out with Austin for a while and everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah.
I didn't no offense, but, like, that's, like, really when you came into my radar. What was that, like, 4 years ago?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I
no. Yeah, no, it was funny because 'cause I'd already it was interesting too because you guys were up in Lincoln and we were I was down here in Folsom and, your mom and I would occasionally maybe, or your dad, like, your dad and I occasionally went to lunch or whatever, and then your mom and I
mhm,
would occasionally exchange text messages or Facebook messages or whatever, but it wasn't until
yeah,
you guys met each other at a dance and started hanging out that we kinda
yeah,
all reconnected again. But, I would say that as seeing you grow has been a privilege, and, seeing you go through, just observing you guys going through some of the stuff that you've gone through and seeing that you've come out the other side, it really does say a lot about your resilience as a human being, and I think that you are very much poised to do a lot of great things if you stay the course. So, I just, I give you the same advice I would give one of my kids, which is, you know what's right and wrong. Just, do what's right.
mhm,
And when you do what's wrong, it's okay. Don't beat yourself up. Just course correct, rely on the atonement, and do better. We had a conversation in Elders Quorum um, to last week, and I mentioned it on my last podcast. One of the things that sometimes people think is they beat themselves up. You beat themselves up because maybe they're not as perfect as they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be a certain way. We look at other people and we see other people just seem so much more righteous than us, or they're doing things better than us.
yeah,
Understand that the standard as a missionary, because you can beat yourself up really hard on a mission. A lot of
mhm,
missionaries feel a lot of shame for stupid stuff. I mean, stupid stuff. So just understand that the standard is aspirational. Okay. It means you're not going to attain it. You can't. It's impossible. You're not
yeah,
perfect. So you just have to keep asking yourself, what are my core values as a Christian? Are my actions in line with those core values? And if they are, great. And if they're not, rely on the atonement and course correct. And if you view it that way and understand that that's a lifelong pursuit that you're not going to get to the end, like, you're okay.
yeah,
So
and
Good.
Yeah, I think God knows who he's calling.
Yeah.
He's calling teenagers and young adults,
Yeah.
you know, who he's not expecting them to be perfect. He knows, like, who we are, you know, and calls us regardless, and I think that when it comes to beating yourself up, like, you God Jesus Christ would never talk to you that way.
Oh,
You know
that's
what I
true.
mean?
I hope
And
not. Jeez.
so right? Right?
I'm pretty
And
hard on
so
myself.
right, like, well, like,
Yeah.
who are you to talk to yourself like that?
Yeah, no, that's
The
a good point.
creator of the universe wouldn't even.
Yeah.
And I feel a similar way to forgiving someone, as
Mhm.
I feel that way to forgiving someone who has already repented,
Yeah.
you know? If someone's coming to you and asking for forgiveness and they have already changed,
Yeah.
you know, obviously you don't have to let them into your life or whatever,
Right. Right.
but you can, and you can love them if they've really changed, you know? And I think remembering that you're not you're not better than God, you're not better to judge yourself more, you're not, like, holding on to the guilt and the shame that comes with a sin that you've already repented for is not
Mhm.
worth it, you know?
Mhm. It's a good point. Yeah. Well, in closing, I'll tell you this, you're gonna get out there. I know when I was out there, I had a pretty good success in baptisms as well, and
Let's
I
go.
could say that there were some people that I met that, um, it could have been any missionary. Like, it did not have to be me. They were just ready, and
Golden.
I just happened to be the one that was in the area at the time, and they were ready to go. And then
Mhm.
there were some who I know for a fact that I was specifically my personality, my testimony, my spirit was needed to get that person to where they needed to go. So when you get out in the mission and there's all these rules that sometimes don't make a lot of sense. Like I still don't I hate the backing rule. You'll have to deal with it. It's the most annoying thing in the world, but you got to do it. But even something as silly as that, um, hang on to those things so that when you run into those people, you got the spirit you need to get them to where they need to go. So,
Mhm.
um, for those of you who are listening, this was a great conversation, and I told you off air, my plan is in a year and a half when you get back, we'll interview you, and who knows, maybe you'll walk off the plane and then you'll have an engagement ring, and then we'll be talking about that. I don't know, we'll see.
Right? I know. I know. How soon after do we wanna
I don't as soon as you want. I mean, I'm sure that you're gonna be, like, shell shocked when you come back. Getting back from mission's harder than going. I'll tell you what,
that's what I've heard.
it's a friggin' mess.
Mm.
You come back and they don't teach you anything. They don't like, you're dropped in the middle of nowhere. I'll tell you a real quick story. Um, I got off my mission, and my buddies Chris Johnson and Chris Garrison, who your mom knows very well, I get released, and they immediately are like, "Let's go out," right? And so I go, "Okay." And so we get in the car and we go, and, we go to this, like there was a YSA bowling thing going on, and, so I had seen literally nobody except the people who came to the airport, which I had, like, a bunch of
Mhm.
friends come to the airport and say hello, and then,
That's nice. Yeah.
but then, I get there and there are so many people, and then they just ditched me. They just left me there by myself, and I had been in arm's length of another person for 2 years. I had not been literally had not been alone for 2 years, and so they
Mhm.
left, and I immediately felt, like, anxious. I was like and I love people. I'm very outgoing, and so when I was like, "I don't know anybody." I freaked out, and luckily a friend of mine was there, and she pulled me in and was like, "Sit down here. You can sit here." I'm like, "Oh, thank
Yeah.
goodness." Oh, and so, so yeah, it's weird. It's weird. It'll take you a few months, but so yeah, as soon as you're back and you're ready to go, we'll do another one. I'm really looking forward
Sweet.
to it. I know.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it because for you, I think it will be important because then later on down the line, when something doesn't make sense to you, you can watch these and you can see the growth. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so
I hope to be a much a more grown person,
You
a
will
more developed person by the
you wi
time I come back.
you will be, and that's part of the reason why I want to do it, is because that way when you come back, you can watch the one that we're doing now and go, "Wow, I am not that person anymore," and your parents can compare it, and everybody who loves you compare it. Because that's the thing that I want you to know more than anything. I know both your parents very well. I've known them for 20 plus years. You are a
Nice.
very loved person for sure. And
Aw.
so, but anyway, but it'll be fun for everybody to see the difference. Doing the same thing with Austin, so it'll be really cool. So,
Cool.
anyway, for those of you around, you could always subscribe and hear all the other people I talk to. There's a lot of them. They're not always as bright and cheery as this one. Some are really sad, some are really
Oh,
depressing. So, just kidding. No, they're all really good and positive. But Rachel, it's been awesome. Sister Evers, I can't wait to see how you end up. So,
thanks. Well, thanks for having me.
all right, we'll see you later.
Bye-bye.